everybody, welcome to Midnight's Edge. We're here on the main channel because we are going to do a breakdown of San Diego Comic-Con, the news that was broken, the news that was unveiled, all the news that we're going to analyze. I'm, of course, Narrator Supreme, Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo, coming to you from Shabby Road Studios, and with us, as always, is Mr. Tom Connors.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it is where you're at. Good morning, I suppose, in some places.
Yes, it's morning somewhere. And since we're on the main channel, we are joined by the boss man.
Greetings, everyone. Hope you're all doing great.
Andre, thank you. Thank you. Why am I thanking you? It's your channel. Jeez, come on. All right.
On July 20th, Marvel had their panel. Before we get into each project and how much we care about that, let's get into the big thing, namely Thor 4, or Thor Love and Thunder, to be directed by Taika Waititi and starring Chris Hemsworth, but also the female Thor, played by the girlfriend from the previous movies. So, what do we think about that? Rob, share your feelings.
Are you sure you want me to? Oh my God.
Turn down your volume.
This is a mistake. This is an absolute mistake. Jeez. You know, people don't like, for anyone who says, oh yeah, people love this take on the comics by Jason Aaron. No, they didn't. No, they did not. They didn't, absolutely did not. I'm going to try to be as measured as possible, try to remain calm as possible, try to be expressive of my opinion as possible. But it was quite literally embarrassing seeing Nathalie Portman out there, who looks as the most unheroic as a person can look, with that hammer that looks like it's just going to drag her straight to the ground when Taika Waititi handed it to her. It is a harbinger of horrible things to come. It is one of the things we were fearing, that they were going to essentially turn it over to the quote unquote normies now, and the wine aunts and those people who put Funko Pops on their desk at their office and pretend they know what Deadpool is. I'm not saying no, and you can't do that. It's just, don't try to tell me that you're an Uber fan when you just went to Walmart and bought yourself a bunch of Funko Pops for $50. My biggest fear is that if this is successful, which I'm praying to God that it won't be, we are going to get Riri Williams. That's my fear. They are going to go full-throated with this diversity, this all-new, all-different Marvel initiative. Now, we're not saying diversity is a bad thing. But at the same time, you have a character that is established, that people like. Thor. Thor made more money in this movie than any Thor movie ever did, than the last two combined. And now you're going to bring in Jane Foster Thor, who has no identity of her own except for glomming onto the identity of the previous character. And that's what this really is. They take characters that are established and they say, they humiliate them, and they say, okay, we're going to introduce a quote unquote new character, but we're going to use the identity of the old character because the new one can't stand on their own. And that's you, and they say, haha, look, diversity. And when it fails, you ungrateful sods. You don't understand what we're doing. And I can't help but think that this is going to be, I don't want to say this is the end of the MCU, but it's sort of the end of the MCU as we know it. Because all bets are going to be off, really. All bets are off. Riri Williams, Kamala Khan, more Brie Larson and her wooden acting. It's not going to be pretty, folks. It is not going to be pretty. Tom, I think it's about as measured response I can give. Without yelling and screaming. Tom, the floor is yours.
I'm not as fired up as Rob is. I was more excited about Thor 4 earlier this week than I am now, per se. This movie, the run that it's based on, I guess, from what I've read, ended its run with about less than half of its original readership, so that's not a good sign there. But, and I have a feeling Andre may have a similar feeling on this, because we both just adore Thor Ragnarok to the point where I believe it's in both of our top fives, if not higher, as far as the MCU, and love it. I love it every time I see it, even more than I did the last. I even have the Hulk doll, the talking Hulk doll from the movie. I was looking forward to this because Taika Waititi is, I trust him. I loved his work so far that I have seen. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt in this instance, and hopefully he will surprise me. I'm willing to really kind of hold back my judgment until I see the first trailer and see what he's got in mind. Andre?
I kind of agree. Yes, actually, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I was also more excited about Thor 4 to be directed by Taika Waititi earlier this week than I am now. The only thing that I'm really interested in right now is Taika Waititi directing, because the storyline itself, this is one of the storylines, it's late here. This is one of the storylines that have contributed to the destruction of not just Marvel's comic book sales, but the decline of the entire comic book industry, which is going to hell. And Marvel is leading it going to hell with these kinds of storylines. Now, I'm not going to claim that I have read most of this storyline or even part of it. Well, I have read part of it, and the tiny little part of it that I have read, let's just say that I didn't feel like reading any more of it. Let's just say I generally have stopped reading Marvel comics right now, other than Conan, and we'll get back to that at a different time. But suffice to say, here I seriously hope that Taika Waititi is going to do what he did with Thor Ragnarok, which is to say that he takes some inspiration from the comics, but then he puts his own vision and his own feeling of what is right into it, and he makes fun stuff happen. That's the only good thing I can see coming out of this. I think that the movie can be made successful if it's made to be fun. But what I worry here is that here, the entire MCU with this movie, or not just with that movie, but with other movies as well, is stepping into the point where they start to parody themselves, kind of like the Universal monster movies did after they had stopped being serious and horrors. They started to become comedies, and they start to parody themselves. And I'm worried that the MCU is starting to head a little bit in that direction too, in addition to the increasingly woke direction, which really hasn't worked for the comics, because the sales are plummeting across the board. So am I excited about this? No, not really. I hope for the best. I hope for the best because I love Marvel. I want to see the MCU continue to thrive, although I think that they're doing the same thing that didn't work in the comics. And I think that many, many, many people out there will be quite sufficed and satisfied and feel that they had their fill with the entire Infinity Saga, which went across like the 22, 23 movies and concluded now with the Spider-Man Far From Home. I think many, many audiences will be satisfied with that, and that there's going to be a natural drop-off in Marvel movies to come, and this is not the way to get them back again. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, Waititi's smart enough. He might find a way to have some fun with the whole quote unquote wokeness factor with this movie, and kind of comment and poke at it in a way that way because they kind of did that a little bit in Spider-Man: Homecoming. There was a couple scenes and beats here and there where they kind of had a little fun with the whole diversity thing, and it's kind of like, okay, you got me to giggle about it and laugh about it, so it's okay the way they handled it. If he's able to handle this in a way that is funny and works for the movie, I'll be on board. But again, I have to wait to see at least that first trailer to kind of get an idea of what he's doing.
Yeah, let's move. Rob, did you have a final comment with that before we move on?
Yes, the last thing I said, I'm just wondering, who is this really for? I mean, obviously it's not for the fans of the comics. I mean, are they going to let what I call the Twitterati, those engaged on social media, are they going to let is that who's going to be dictating the future of the MCU? Because that's what it certainly seems like. And if that's the case, that's a huge mistake. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yes, let's go back to Phase 4. I have to make one correction, and I have to give some props as well to Rivers727 that sent the message. Kevin Feige confirmed what was announced last night was all of Phase 4. Blade and the other undated stuff will be part of Phase 5. All right then, excellent. Thanks for that comment. So what we're looking at then is the complete total Phase 4. Okay, let's go through Phase 4 then. First, movie by movie, and then TV series by TV series. Let's begin with the movies in order of release. Next one up, Black Widow. Your thoughts, quickly. Tom.
I'm kind of excited for it. I wish it was sooner. I wish it was more in where it should be, in line of where it's supposed to be. Hopefully they give me a reason why it's not. They haven't yet to date with all the quote unquote prequels or movies that are out of sync with the rest of the series. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the character though. So, Rob?
Yeah, actually looking forward to this movie. I'm always a sucker for a good spy movie.
Yeah, I can see you it's more like a 007 kind of movie. I'm imagining.
Yeah, and if it's going to be like, or if it's even going to be like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, going to be an extension of that could actually work. I don't want to say the window is passed, but they should have made this earlier. They really should have.
Yeah, I agree. They should have made it earlier, and apparently it takes place across many, many years, but the bulk of the story, from what I gather, is set around the time frame of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So it probably would have been better to release the movie there, but now it is. So, hey-ho. In either event, I'm fairly excited for this. Of course, Scarlett Johansson, ever since the first Avengers movie, has been fantastic as Black Widow. She wasn't in Iron Man 2 where she was introduced, but since Avengers, she's been fantastic. And what really has me excited about this movie is the presence of Taskmaster, who's pretty awesome in the comics. So I look forward to seeing what they do with him here in the movie. Now, let's move on to the next movie of 2020, The Eternals, which again takes us in a more cosmic direction. Rob, your thoughts on that?
Well, I predicted The Eternals actually about 3 or 4 years ago on my channel, Robot
Vindicated.
Shlomo, and I always keep saying, how did I know? How do I, who knows nothing, get that right, and all the experts not see that coming? I don't understand. But they're putting together a very high-profile cast: Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, who we talked about actually recently as a potential Bond. He's going to be playing Icarus. This one's going to be tough. I mean, this one's going to be tough for the it's very kind of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's kind of vibe. It does open the door to a lot more things on the cosmic side of the Marvel universe. So actually, this one could go either way. It really can. Tom?
For all the reasons you just said, I'm pretty much looking forward to it. because it has a open door of opportunity for me. I'm not that familiar with the Eternals from the pages, so it can do pretty much anything it wants to win me over. I'm hoping it will win everybody over. They sound like an interesting group of people or heroes, however you want to put it. And anything cosmic in the Marvel so far phase has been good, as long as you don't count Captain Marvel, I guess. But I mean, my favorites of the movies are like the Guardians movies and Thor Ragnarok. So yeah, bring it on. That's where I'm at with that. Andre?
Yeah, I agree. I really like the cosmic side of the MCU. I mean, we're not getting any more Star Trek movies anytime soon, it appears, and we're certainly not getting any Star Wars to look forward to. So I get my cosmic fill from the MCU. For that reason, I am excited about the Eternals, and I hope it will deliver. I will go in pretty unprepared, knowing nothing, because I'm really not that familiar with the Eternals from the comics. So this will be one where I just go in hoping for the best and hope to be pleased. And that's what I have to say about that. So let's move on to the next project after that. Now we've moved into the year 2021 with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Tom, why don't you begin with that one?
This one I'm not as familiar with either, again, as much like the Eternals, but from what I've heard, it's got me a little bit more intrigued now that it's going to introduce a new version of the Mandarin, or the real Mandarin. I like kung fu movies and stuff like that. I've heard this is more of like an apology for Iron Fist. It's kind of the rumor coming out, or rumbling coming out, but it could be cool. I know they announced, I think, that at least some of the main cast, if not whoever's playing Shang-Chi. I can't remember who it was, but hey, if it's fun, if it's cool, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I mean, what we brought up, just to kind of say what Andre said in the beginning, though, is what I think he's kind of addressing is we don't have any Spider-Mans on here. We don't have any Avengers on here. So this feels like a very lackluster kind of, billing for the next couple of years for Marvel. There's only one or two real standouts in the end, and this is kind of in that lower level of I'll probably see it in theaters. I'm not sure. The trailer can win me, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, there's still 3 undated projects for
yeah, we'll get to those.
We'll get to those, yeah.
Okay, but as far as Shang-Chi, I love kung fu movies, martial arts films. Shang-Chi, obviously inspired by Bruce Lee, the whole martial arts genre of the 1970s. He's going to be played by a guy named Simu Liu, I believe. Okay, Canadian actor. I don't know anything about him, but okay. Yeah, okay, let's see what he can do. Okay, I'm willing to give this a shot.
Well, and I should also point out that I did hear earlier too that this phase, if the 4 and 5 are going to be like just a couple of smaller overarching stories and not like the big Avengers movies. So don't expect like a Secret Wars announcement or some random Avengers movie. I don't. Well, and Louis said Kevin Feige already said, nope, this is phase 4, period.
Well, one of the things we should point out too, Shang-Chi, because he's sort of a street level hero. It opens the door still for some of the more street level heroes, like a Moon Knight or whomever. Yeah, that's
or Blade might be coming up here in a moment.
Blade could very well turn up in Shang-Chi as an introduction, like they did with Black Panther in Civil War. So it keeps that door open that was sort of closed by Netflix, And
I think it's interesting you bring that up because they did introduce a lot of these people who are playing characters in movies that we don't even have a date for yet. So they're already casting. And so I think that's why, and I think it's interesting why you bring that up, is because I think they are going to, some of these characters might pop up early is what I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
And as for me, taking it back to Shang-Chi, not familiar with the comics, like a good martial arts movie. I haven't seen a good one in ages, though. Hope this can be one. The Return of the Mandarin is a character I never really got into from the comics. So honestly, not that interested. Hope the trailers are good and that the movie will be fine, but me at this point, not interested. However, I'm very interested for the next one, also coming in 2021, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. My God, what a title. I mean, have you ever heard a more Lovecraftian title than that? I'm sold just on the title. And apparently it's going to have nightmares. I'm double sold on that. Can't wait for that movie. Plus, it's also going to be a horror, apparently. Like a real horror, unlike the first one. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Rob, your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
I really enjoyed the first Doctor Strange movie. So anything more with Doctor Strange and Benedict Cumberbatch in the role, I am looking forward to. Not a big horror fan, but like I said, there's a difference between sort of the splatter movies that just kind of gross out and like a good kind of like cerebral horror movie that gives you a scare, but it's a good scare, if you know what I mean. You're like, oh, like, not so much a jump scare, but that kind of, the kind of scare it gives you where you hear your heart beating, that kind of thing. And hopefully you don't go see a cardiologist the next day. And but anyways, like I said, if it's like that, I'm all on board. Tom?
I'm looking forward to it. I was pleasantly surprised by the first Doctor Strange. I wasn't expecting to like it so much because my only real exposure to Doctor Strange before that was the TV movie, and I barely remembered it. So I guess that's fairly beloved, but it's not a very great example, I'm sure, of the character. So yeah, I enjoyed it, especially with the 3D. It was like I'm watching it and I'm like, this is why, 3D was invented for shit like this, So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit, actually. So this is probably the ones at the top of my list as far as what I'm looking forward to in this group of movies now.
And then Phase 4 will be concluded by Thor, Love and Thunder, which we already spoke about. So then let's move into the other movies that were mentioned by Kevin Feige, but which apparently will not be part of Phase 4 and are therefore undated. Namely, Fantastic Four, Mutants, and Blade. Blade will discuss in more detail. So first, your thoughts on Fantastic Four and Mutants being part of Phase 5. Tom?
Fantastic Four, fantastic. It's about damn time the MCU gets their hands on them. I can't wait to see what Kevin Feige's got in mind. I can't wait to see how they introduce them into this world. I've heard rumors that they may even do a time period Fantastic Four in the 60s. And it would possibly even feature like a young Hank Pym and stuff like that, to kind of sync up with that stuff, and then maybe send them into the future. So I've heard this. So like we were talking about this before. I don't remember if it was on the main channel or on After Dark, but I think Rob and I had talked about that being cool if they did that. So that's even a possibility. Again, that's just rumblings. Nothing set in stone in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, I'm just saying this is what I've heard. So yeah, I'd be excited if they did that. Mutants, on the other hand, is another interesting deal, because not only did Kevin Feige say it once, but he said it twice, and he never once said X-Men. And I'm not trying to like feed into any fire, but I have heard rumors that they're going to avoid using the men part of X-Men going forward. Now, that may not be true, and it would be really freaking stupid if they did. But if they don't, my feeling is they'll do like X Factors and X this and X that, instead of it being anything directly with the word men in it. And again, take that with a big grain of salt. It's just a rumor I've been hearing. So I don't know if that's why he's referring to mutants as that way, or it could be he's just using it as a catch-all. I think Rob said that before too. So that could very well be. Yeah, that's how I feel about those two. Sorry to jump ahead, but yeah, Fantastic Four, Rob.
Yeah, Fantastic Four, the granddaddy of Marvel titles, the progenitor, if that's the correct term, of Marvel Comics. That's where it all started. Good to see it's back with in the MCU. Somebody actually brought up the fact that in Spider-Man Homecoming, Happy Hogan was cleaning out the Avengers Tower, and they were just speculating like, well, who could have possibly bought the Avengers Tower? Could that be the new Baxter Building, which is actually pretty interesting idea. But at the same time, like you said, Fantastic Four, I'm really looking forward to how they're going to integrate the Fantastic Four. I really am.
It wasn't supposed to be the Baxter Building. It was supposed to be the Oscorp Tower. But, but Marvel and Sony couldn't come to an agreement because Sony may want to keep Norman Osborn for themselves. That's one thing. And the other is that they weren't able to come to an agreement with how to change him for the MCU. Because if you've seen our earlier Spider-Man coverage, then all these Spider-Man supportive characters, when they're put into the MCU, it's not the original characters, it's new characters with some of the traits in common. And they didn't quite agree on what kind of new character to create. But that's neither here nor there. As for me, Fantastic Four, yes, bring it on. And especially Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom is what you really want. Doom and the Silver Surfer. Why do we have to wait so far for them? Hope that he'll be introduced earlier. But anyway, and same with Mutants. I really hope that they keep the name X-Men, those, because that's kind of the brand name. And if you want to remove the brand title X-Men because it has men in it, then you are so ideologically warped that there's seriously no hope for you. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The final thing that was mentioned that's coming in Phase 5 is Blade, which is cool enough. And there we even have a cast member. Tom, who have they cast as Blade?
Mahershala Ali has been cast as Blade. I knew this was going to come, and I'm really wishing I would have got on top of it sooner. I mean, I did bring it up a few times, but I'm excited for this one. I can't say too much right now. I do know a few things, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to share more in the future. This
is the project that we look forward to talking much more about in the future. I think this is going to be a cool.
Before everybody jumps a gun and starts getting pissy with Disney and Marvel, I'm going to say this. I do believe they did try to work with Wesley Snipes in some capacity, but that didn't work out. And I do believe we may hear something from the actor this week. That's all I'm going to say on that part. The other part I'm going to say is I do believe they are going to try and go as adult as possible with this. So I'm not necessarily saying that means an R rating, but that does not mean it's going to be a soft PG-13.
Yeah.
So
Tom, you're saying you do believe all this?
I do believe
in
this.
Tom's a believer. So let's see if that belief is warranted. I have a good feeling it might be. Yeah, but the interesting thing, though, and this takes us back to the TV thing, because the new Blade, he is known from the Netflix TV series, or certainly from the Luke Cage series, because he was the villain in the first half of Luke Cage. And then he wasn't the villain anymore, and that's when Luke Cage stopped being any fun, at least in my opinion. And now he has then been cast from a major role in Marvel Television into a major role in Marvel Studios. What do you think that says for Marvel Television and the connectivity between the MCU and the Netflix series? Rob, why don't you start us off with that one?
Well, they've always said that everything is connected. So, I mean, but it seems like now there's a sort of a demarcation line. They're making a point of being there being a demarcation line between the two. This is so, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see if anybody else turns up in a Marvel movie. Tom, I've got much more to say than that. Tom?
Well, I don't know if I have much to add to that, but as far as like how I want to put this without saying something wrong, God, you know what? Just move on from me. I'm not going to say anything.
Basically, yeah. What I have to say is that they said before that everything is connected, and everything is going to stay connected until they say it isn't connected anymore. There have already been a couple of retcons in the MCU, and it would now appear that after the deal with Netflix fell through and the characters are locked up in Netflix, for all we know. Yeah, go on, Tob.
I'll just say it's in the trades. It's in the trades out there. That's basically this is retconning the Netflix shows.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That probably they cannot use anything exactly from the Netflix shows. I wish that they could, because I really like the Daredevil series there, and I really like the Punisher, at least in part, and the rest I don't really like nearly as much. But Daredevil and Punisher are worth keeping. So I think it's a great shame if they'll be cut short and they'll be stricken from continuity. But that's probably what's going to happen, and this casting just seems to illustrate that. So that probably means
basically
further down the line.
3.5, 4 years, and we'll probably see new versions of most of these characters.
Yeah. So phase 6 then. So basically what's happened is that Netflix is being taken out of the TV thing. Or rather, I think that everything that is not Marvel Studios and directly under Feige's control, it will increasingly be treated like what's the expression, the red-headed stepchild. That's now being changed into
like Shield, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was our good friend Mecha that said that to pick yourself up. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on with TV talk, because Netflix may be out of the equation, and I think that the ABC series will be sooner rather than later as well. But what won't be out of the equation are the MCU TV series made by Marvel Studios, and they will be coming on Disney Plus starting from next year. So let's go through those that have been announced. Next year, 2020, we have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How excited are we for that, Tom?
How excited am I for Captain 2.0 and Bucky? If it's a cool buddy cop movie meets, like The Odd Couple, and they got something cool for them to do, I'm on board. But otherwise, I'm not that interested. Neither one of them are characters that Bucky's kind of arc has already kind of been played out, and Falcon's never been a character that I've really ever been that interested in, period. And I agree with most people that Bucky was the one who should have been given the shield, because what does Falcon have to offer? And he already has a superhero power thingy. He's Falcon. So yeah, anyway, that is neither here nor there. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, this very much plays like a Lethal Weapon type of series. Buddy cops, The Odd Couple. Can two friends of Captain America, be roommates and without driving each other crazy? It sounds interesting. I like the dynamic between the two of them, but I'm not sure if I want to watch that on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
it seems like it would get old really quickly.
That segues rather nicely into my feelings on a Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Don't care. I have nothing else to say about it. So let's move on to WandaVision, which will be coming in 2021. Tom, what's your thoughts on that?
WandaVision now on all Sony Trinitron TVs. Yeah, this is the one that I'm like, until I see a trailer to kind of get an idea of what it's going to be about. I have no clue.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't absolutely do not. I read Vision. I read Vision and the Scarlet Witch in the 80s. Not good. It wasn't good. Was not good. Don't care. Andre?
Yeah, he's going to rip off my don't care. Well, I shall race you. I couldn't care less, because that's exactly what I feel about one series.
Well, didn't we get
Tom?
going to have
Tom, can you up that to I don't give a shit?
I would say I don't give two shits, but isn't this the one that's supposed to have Monica Rambeau in it as Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel?
I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah. Paul Bettany. I like Paul Bettany as the Vision, but I don't want to watch Vision and the Scarlet Witch and just play house together.
Well, is this going to be about her resurrecting him, or is this going to be a prequel? That's my question, too. I can't remember offhand.
I have no idea. Honestly, I know very little about this series.
Yeah, I'll raise your I have no idea to I don't want to know. That's how
Moving on.
So yeah, move on basically. So there you have two MCU series that I couldn't care less about, even if I tried. Next one, also coming 2021, is Loki. Tom, your thoughts on Loki? Oh, and I'll say this then. What we know about the series so far is that we are now going to follow the alternate Loki, the one who got the Cosmic Cube back in alternate Endgame 2012 and escaped. In this series, we will be following him. Now, Tom, what's your thoughts on that?
Believe it or not, it's the opposite of the last one. I actually am very interested in this one, and Loki is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, even though I have little care or time for him as far as the comic book version in a lot of ways. Tom Hiddleston is, of course, the key to this. And since he's in this and it is going to be following alternate Loki, I'm interested in seeing what adventures he goes on. Now, would I have rather seen some other adventures from Loki? Sure, but again, this is one of the only ones that have been announced that I'm really super excited for. So, Rob?
Yeah, this is one I'm probably actually a little bit more interested because Tom Hiddleston is just great as Loki. I wouldn't mind seeing where this goes. So that's about all I have to say about that.
As for me, I am actually very interested in the Loki series as well. So here I do care because Loki is awesome. And I know many people out there don't like Thor the Dark World all that much. I actually do like Thor the Dark World. My biggest issue with it is that it isn't called Loki the Dark World, because he was the highlight of that whole movie.
Right.
Yeah, this one I do care about. Also, the next one I really, really care about as well, which is also animated. And I think this is going to be better animated than Lower Decks, namely, What If? Also featuring the original voice cast from all the other MCU movies. So that one I think is going to be really special. Tom?
Yeah, at first, when I first heard about it, I was kind of meh because Marvel's animation hasn't necessarily won me over. That's one of the few places where DC's been up on them. But hearing that it's going to be like the original cast members, so assuming it's going to be using the MCU as a launch pad, I'm very interested in seeing what they come up with, and especially if they give us some what ifs that are very tied into movies that we've seen, because this is the kind of thing that I'd really eat up. Yeah, definitely. Rob?
Yeah, that's what I think that they'll do. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think that's what they're going to do. That they're going to do the MCU version of the what if. Give us what if, for instance, Killmonger had continued to be the Black Panther. Stuff like that. I'd be all over seeing that. But yeah, carry on. Rob, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, this actually, the What If comics are actually very good. They start out and they give you the basic premise. We all know the story of Captain America, how he was found in the ice. But what if Namor took a more southerly path? And what if the Avengers pursued him? And what if everything just kind of spirals out of control. KSS, yes. What if Sana Amanad got a walking papers? That would be a good one. And like I said, it just opens up a lot of story possibilities, and you play with the history a little bit because it's not really an alternate timeline. It's just a what if scenario. And Jeffrey Wright is going to be playing the voice of Uatu, the Watcher. Now, if you don't recognize that name, he appears in the current James Bond films as Felix Leiter, and he's also in Westworld. If you don't recognize the name, you'll recognize his face and probably his voice as well. So he's a good actor. I like seeing him turn up in a lot of different things. So yeah, so this one actually looks really good.
And that's all we have to say about What If. And now the final series that has been announced so far is another live-action series, namely Hawkeye. I'll reserve my opinions on it for the moment. I'll get back to that. But first I want to hear what you think about it. Tom?
Yeah, it's another one that I really don't have too much... it'd be kind of interesting to see what happened, I think in Budapest or whatever it was where they like that thing in Budapest, or whatever, because it's supposed to be, I think, around that time period or whatever. And we might get to see Punisher, Hawkeye. I think you coined the term, Andre. But
yeah, it's basically what he wants us rolling.
Yeah, it might be interesting if that's what we see. Otherwise, I think it's supposed to be about him training Kate Bishop or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I've always liked Hawkeye. I've never had no issues with him, but he's not like, oh, I want a Hawkeye movie or a Hawkeye show. Rob?
Yeah, I really don't say to myself, I have nothing against Hawkeye, but I really don't find myself saying, I want to see this character for about 45 minutes a week. That's where about I am on that. It could be interesting, but like I said, I'm not exactly beating down anybody's door for it. Andre?
As for me, when I just see the title and I hear the premise of the show and everything, it reminds me of a radio show that was proposed. It never happened, but it was proposed by a group of raunchy Norwegian comedians a few years back, where basically they were going to go and seek out old politicians that had retired and old celebrities and stuff like that had retired from the public limelight and do like career retrospectives of them, like after they had fallen from basically the public eye. And the series was going to be called, in Norwegian, "Ikke du dau ennå," and that means, aren't you dead yet? That's kind of like what I think about this. Like, aren't you dead yet? Like, why do we still have to? Who cares about following your adventures? Seriously, you could have died in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I'd be perfectly happy with that.
Andre went a long way for that joke. And it pays off if you've heard our roundtables before, because that was a character that Andre was fully on board to die and be done with in the MCU many times.
Yeah, because honestly, that almost destroyed Avengers: Age of Ultron for me, because in that movie, I knew that some Avengers were going to die. In the whole movie, I was like thinking, not Black Widow, please, not Black Widow. Take him. Who cares? Like, you can have Robin Hood. We don't need him. Take him. And then he didn't die. And after that, I was like, just take him. I don't care about him. So I've always had like that thing. And now you're giving him a TV series. What annoys me is that, yeah, he was cool as the Punisher. After like his family got snapped away and he became the Punisher. He's never been so cool and so likable, in my opinion. But I'd rather have the real Punisher. It's like, yeah, no, not interested. Couldn't care less about it like the others. So if we count them, most of the MCU series on Disney Plus, I'm really not interested in, which kind of sucks. So I think that same with the movies. So Phase 4 really isn't looking all that exciting from my point of view. Any final thoughts on that, guys, before we round out?
Not really.
Not really. I think we covered it all.
The only thing we didn't cover was like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think we missed, but that again is a one that I think we'll hear more about.
Yeah, we weren't the only ones that missed that one, let's say.
Yeah. Well, like we said, there's still 3 dates that are open. So we can speculate what's going to Guardians 3, Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2, possibly. But we have.
Well, we just know with Guardians, they'll know more once they start, because they got to wait for Gunn to be done with Suicide Squad, and as soon as he's done, then he's going to jump right into Guardians. So then they'll probably have a better idea of a date, I'm imagining.
Yeah, that's probably the reason for the delay there. Anyway, before we round out, we have some super chats. $5 super chat from STR Red Wolf. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Sounds like they're taking what happened with the comic female Thor and bring it to the MCU. It was badly handled then. Second, try the charm. Yeah, let's hope that they're more lucky the second time, although I am a bit anxious about it. And then we got a €5 super chat from Fudongshi, who says, "Hey guys, wanted to say hi from Germany. Love your work. Keep it up." Well, hello. I was in Berlin a couple of weeks back. Awesome city. Love it. So yeah, hi from all of us to Germany. And then, yeah, vielen Dank. And then Unhinged Crank sent us a $5 super chat saying, "My prediction, Spider-Man 3 will replace one of these after the new Sony contract." I'm not sure about that. I think that's one of the things I meant with the maybe Phase 4 is going to have some addition one way or the other. I don't know if it's going to or not, but I would imagine that if there are any more Spider-Man movies, which from all accounts is going to be, then they will come in addition to the rest, is my thoughts on that. Guys, any final thoughts on Marvel's upcoming slate?
Outside of it being Avengers free, we got some surprises, but nothing big. Again, I think that you're right that Spider-Man 3 will probably come down. It'll be 2 years out anyway, so it probably won't even fall until Phase 5. Same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at this point. So, I mean, this is probably everything we're going to get for this next phase. Could it be better? Yes. Yes. But we'll see what happens.
Feels almost like Diet Marvel at this point, you know. Just something, you know, it's not Phase 4 just doesn't feel as these announcements just don't feel anywhere nearly as satisfying as previous announcements. So
yeah, what I say is that there appears to be some good stuff in Phase 4, and I hope that every movie and every series is going to be a positive surprise. But based on what we see of Phase 4 so far, my overall impression is bring on Phase 5. And with that, I would like to thank the panel for joining us. So, Rob and Tom, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Anytime. It's a pleasure.
And also, thank you to every single one of you that have been watching, and especially those that have sent super chats. We really appreciate any help in keeping the lights on, because YouTube certainly isn't helping with that. So, yeah. Have a nice evening, have a nice day, have a nice morning, wherever you are. Be awesome.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a comment, like it, and help share it. Or if you didn't, tell us why in the comments. If you did enjoy it, then feel free to subscribe, but remember to hit the bell icon to select that you want notifications all the time, otherwise YouTube might randomly unsubscribe you. Midnight's Edge is completely independent and devoted to bringing you the intelligent analysis of the inner workings of the film industry and genre media. If you like what we do, then we would be very grateful if you could help us keep the lights on by supporting us on Patreon or on Subscribestar. Our backers receive exclusive rewards and bonuses. Before you go, check out these other videos that may interest you in our sister channel Midnight's Edge After Dark for more live shows and more laid-back content.